killing of an endangered silverback gorilla named Harambe at the Cincinnati Zoo. The animal can be seen on video grabbing and dragging a little boy who somehow got into the gorilla enclosure.
Obviously, this is a very emotional time at the Cincinnati Zoo.
A 4-year-old at the Cincinnati Zoo got into the enclosure, and then a 400-pound gorilla grabbed him.
But that child's life was in danger. And people who question that, or are Monday morning quarterbacks, or second guessers, don't understand that you can't take a risk with a silverback gorilla.
Did you see how he jerked him? When the minute I saw that video, when he got jerked like that, I said, oh God, I don't want to see the rest of this. I know what would happen.
I know you see photos, videos, say, gosh, it doesn't seem dangerous. We're talking about an animal with one hand that I've seen take a coconut and crunch it.
To take a green coconut and do anything to it, it takes a hatchet, it takes a sledgehammer. You cannot even open the green coconut. A gorilla can go like this, like that, squish it.
They're very big, 3 times bigger than a man, 6 times stronger than that. This is a dangerous animal.
I can sit here and I'll bet my life on this. That child will not be here today.
May 28th, 2016. That was the day our beloved Harambe was taken away from us. His death was mourned across the world, with many wondering what could have been if he wasn't murdered. Harambe was so important to the plot that his death caused a splitting in the timeline, leading humanity towards an altered and suffering existence. So what happens next? Global outrage. After Harambe's death, people aren't happy. All the attention on Harambe's death leads to discussions about animal rights and how to prevent something like Harambe's death from happening again. Governments around the world start funneling their resources in protecting endangered species. One government, or the Communist Party of China to put it specifically, decided it would be a great idea to crack down on the wildlife trade. Now, from an onlooker's perspective, you'd think this would be a good idea, right? Well, yes, technically, but also it led to more animals that would have been naturally, unalived to be roaming freely outside. One such of those animals being bats. And what do bats do? Eat, sleep, urinate? If you guessed a pandemic to spread across the world and kill millions, you can have a gold star and one of those McDonald's coupons for the free ice cream, even though they always expire 1 month before you even try to use them. As it turns out, bats are natural carriers of the coronavirus. What's that? You don't even know what the coronavirus is? Nerd. It's a family of viruses that can cause respiratory illnesses in droplets ranging from the common or the virus spread. And I did not search that up. Now that there's a higher population of bats in China, they can start populating new areas, ones with large human populations. And that can only be a good thing, right? One day in Wuhan, China, a guy decided, hey, I could really go for some pangolin right now. And if you didn't know what a pangolin is, I wouldn't blame you. It looks like this, and why in the actual fuck was anybody trying to eat this? It turns out that the pangolin he had just bought was a carrier of a new strain of coronavirus called Covid-19, which was transferred to the pangolin from one of those sick-looking abominations of nature. The pandemic had spread like a wildfire, with millions dead and many without jobs. Society as a whole became more and more Society became more and more isolated. In the aftermath of COVID-19, there became an acceleration in technological advancements. I'm gonna love myself. Leading to society having a greater reliance on AI and automation. In the past, maybe only millions had lost their jobs due to COVID, but with the introduction of AI and automation, more than millions were losing their jobs. Everywhere you go, there's no human workers in sight. When you want to order your food, you have to order it from an AI named Terrence. When you go to the movie theater, your robot would come to pick up your popcorn if you just dropped the whole fucking thing on the floor. Dumbass. And no, I don't want any pickles on my burger, Terrence. Now, when I call it the Great War, you would think it's the first, but you'd be wrong. It's actually the third. So it would be technically called the Great War, but that's just stupid. So, as economic tensions mounted worldwide, so did social and political tensions. New governments gained power, promising stability in a world on the brink of chaos. Democratic institutions weakened and global cooperation faltered. With escalating conflicts over dwindling resources, environmental catastrophe became inevitable. The planet's ecosystems, already fragile, began to collapse under the strain of human activity. As the environment deteriorated and conflicts intensified, the global infrastructure that supported modern civilization began to unravel. Food and water shortages, disease outbreaks, and societal breakdowns led to mass mortality. In the end, the last human stood at the graves of billions, and in his final breath said, "What would have happened if Harambe didn't die?" The child had fallen into the enclosure. Harambe came towards him not to hurt him, but to protect him. When the guns were pointed at Harambe and the order to kill on sight was placed, the man stood up and said, no thank you, I'm not gonna kill that endangered gorilla, you twat." Years passed, and the ASS was created, the Automated Simian Translator, and Harambe was the first test subject, making it so he could speak English. And after they had given it to him, Harambe had started showing an interest in knowledge, and he eventually became the smartest animal on the animal planet and discovered the cure to cancer, world hunger, and sadness. He was voted most attractive gorilla on Times magazine and eventually became the president of the whole earth. On his deathbed, billions watched on live television as his final words were, "I hope I have done enough to please you." And society prospered for years, living happily and teaching the powerful words of Harambe until the eventual heat death of the universe. Hey, so this video actually took me a while to make, so if you don't subscribe, I'm actually going to touch you. And if you don't believe me, here's your IP address.